There have been many examples of self-made black men. Richard Wright, Frederick Douglass. These are all self-made men.
But see,
when you get down to competence,
well, when you say
there are going to be winners and losers.
But I think even when you say underachieving, like I think some of that in a sense even applies in that dating world, because I think a lot of them are happy with underachieving as far as the mate goes.
It absolutely
They,
applies in the dating
yeah,
world.
they happy with underachieving as far as the mate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why you see a lot of the pump and dump. It creates that single mother culture you're talking about. There are no real standards.
Yep.
So, I can't. Somebody get King Creed making his little subliminal threats.
Who was that?
King Creed says, Taz, you wouldn't know real if it was a desert eagle pointed at your head.
Okay.
It's already been one though. You know
what
I'm saying?
Yeah,
I've looked down the barrel of a gun before, but like, I think what the problem is in a space like this is that's so irrelevant that when we talking to each other, you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't assume that the people in the chat box don't know what real is. I don't assume that their favorite content creator doesn't know what real is. But I think people separate themselves, man. And the more they do that, the more I'm starting to understand why people block motherfuckers and they just don't want to deal with all of that extra shit. It's like, you know,
it's called trolling.
Yeah, not even just the trolling part, you know, because some people legitimately might not like you. But if I dislike you, then I'm not going to come to your chat to let you know I dislike you. I'm not going to go to a chat where you are.
That's called trolling.
If you ain't gonna get on the panel, yeah,
it's called trolling. So I mean, and they got studies. I think I sent this to Nyla. They got extensive studies, psychological studies worldwide on the psychology of trolls. Very fascinating stuff to read. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys have made a pretty airtight case. I mean, unless I see better evidence coming from the other side, I think it's pretty much concluded.
Yeah, no, it's like I say, man, I look at this shit like this, man. It's always been media to me. So I ain't never wanted to use it for anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, even back when the Bruce Carter thing happened, I think you remember our exchange on that shit. And I was telling you, like, but nah, bro, like, we got to combat the mass media and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I'm saying? Your argument was, nigga, this is my position and this is my position. I'm media too. You know what I'm saying? And so I took that and understood from that, like, we are media. And if anything, where we disagree, we got to hash it out through debate, not this unnecessary back and forth, lobbing insults and making up shit on each other. Like, let's do it intellectually. You know what I'm saying? Because that Bruce Carter shit triggered me, bro. But it also woke me up to the fact that if I'm gonna say this is media, well, it's everybody's media, not just mine. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets a shot at the media, not just me. Yeah. So let's talk about it then.
Yeah. But this isn't, and I think Nyla makes a really good point. This isn't a question of academic debate here. This is different. This goes to something, and I remember interviewing David Buss. Y'all would really enjoy his book, The Evolution of Desire, Strategies of Human Mating. I interviewed him, and one of the things he said, matter of fact, I'll send you guys the interview when I get off the air. One of the things he said in that interview was that it's very difficult for people to talk dispassionately about mating. And I would argue, and Dr. Jordan Peterson said the same thing a few years later. And I think the reason why is because it's so primal. I mean, you're really talking about survival, life or death. You know, that's the engine through which we exist. You know, until we get to a point where we're growing human beings on trees like Man of Steel, until we get to that point, you know, fucking is the engine through which we all exist. And, you know, for some people, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to achieve that than others. And for those who fail to do so, that's pretty much the end of the line for them. So from a psychological standpoint, I can understand why this generates so much agita on both for men and women. In this case, black men and black women. So I think what Nyla's getting at is something different from what you and I would like to do Taz, which is just debate the issue. This goes beyond that. This goes to something much more primal, you know. And I think it's something that's worthy of examination. I think she's on to something here. The fact that you showed the screenshots of Archer J clearly contradicting himself, I think that pretty much is the nail in the coffin.
So like that, so like here's the thing though, man. Like, cause you know, I'm one of those who I hear them and I'm trying to figure out how do we get to a place where they can be understood though, not necessarily the ones that's doing the nonsense, but kind of the ones behind them that have the argument against the matriarchy and the gynocracy, and they kind of eat that shit up. I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're seeing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you see the lame shit, the feminine back and forth tactics and shit, and you don't call that out, I'm just wondering that if it comes a point where you do have to kind of just ignore a whole section of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you see that person come in your chat and you just block them because you know where they be at, you know what they represent. They're not there for anything other than to throw your shit off. You know what I'm saying? I used to think blocking was lame, man, but I'm starting to understand why people do it. Yeah. Because some people ain't here for conversation.
Right. Well, I mean, they're clearly, I mean, not to overuse the term, but they're clearly triggered. Something about you, if not something that you said or both, triggers them. I've been triggering people ever since I've come on YouTube, man. And of late, I can't even, you know, I got to give a shout out to Uncle David Carroll. He's talked about this, that, you know, the real issue ain't the black women, it's the black men. He's had 10 Vimeo channels flagged down, 10. That's what drove him to the Black Avenger. And he said all 10 of them were flagged down by black men, not black women. All 10. 10 for 10.
That's crazy.
Black men. Yeah. Now, so you have to ask, why would black men be so triggered by what he's saying? He's addressing black women. Why would black men be so triggered by it? That, I mean, you would have to ask that question. It reminds me of what went down last night, and to some extent what's going on today in this discussion. You know, what is it about me, and by extension you, that's triggering black men so bad? In your case, I can understand why black men would be triggered based on what Nyla said. Fair enough. But why would they come after me like that? I think it's because if I'm able to make a dent in black female fuckery, it's also making a dent in certain black men because they rely on it, either directly or indirectly. Like, I think C Boogie directly relies, he indirectly relies on it. I think he does. I think that his brand, such as it is, can't really exist without it.
See, I ain't never really heard nobody call him no simp or no shit like that. I view his content as directly for me, and I
have, and I'll tell you exactly who and where I heard it from. Black Woman Sphere.
Well, she called him a simp?
Worse. You know the kind of thing she likes to call black men. Worse. And she mentioned him by name.
Black Woman Sphere, I can't predict shit she said, bro. You'd have to tell me what she said, because I don't have no idea.
Well, you know, the whole bitch ass niggas and all that sort of thing. So she went beyond just a simp. That would have been mild. So I'm just saying that, and he's not alone. I mean, Alan Roger Curry, for example, he's admitted that he's benefited from the fuckery of women. He said it on tape. He's admitted it. That makes sense. There's a lot of black men who either directly or indirectly benefit from the fuckery of black women. That shouldn't come as any great shock in black America. I mean,
it kind of is to me. Like, give me an example of what you mean, though, other than this YouTube shit. Because I understand on the YouTube side, but in the real world, how does that play out?
Sure. Steve Harvey. He's been on the New York Times bestseller list for the better part of 2 years. That's an eternity. If you know about the book selling world, that's an eternity. Just to get there is a major accomplishment. But to stay there for almost 2 years, that's almost unheard of.
So what is he writing? You know, I ain't reading no damn Steve Harvey. You gotta tell me what he writing.
Okay, and you can go back and just do a quick YouTube and see it for yourself. One big thing that got a big lot of buzz was the idea of a 90-day rule. that black women would vet guy, black men using the 90-day rule, that they don't get no ass or nothing like that, for a 90-day period. No. And I understand Steve Harvey's argument, but the reality on the ground is that no black man has got anything going for him is going to go for that. They're not.
No, they're not. They're not. I don't even know why a man would even introduce such hogwash like that.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a case in point of someone benefiting, in his case, directly from black female fuckery. He's literally made millions off of it. Literally.
See, I would look at that as more of pandering, though. I would look at that more of pandering than benefiting from black female fuckery. I would say that that's pandering.
But what would be an example of a black man benefiting either directly or indirectly from black female fuckery? Maybe I'm missing something here.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. That's why I was trying to see it in real time. Like, I guess a pimp, collecting money from his hoes, what I'm saying, is the first thing that would come to mind for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I want to go out and screw a bunch of niggas and bring a nigga the money.
Wouldn't the argument be made that Harvey, Hill Harper, Derrick Jackson, aren't they kind of pimping in a way? Matter of fact, I've heard black men say about all three of these black men to other black men, don't criticize them, man. Don't knock their hustle. They use those exact words. Black men telling other black men not to criticize these black men that are literally making money off of black women in the fuckery, in using the words, don't knock their hustle.
See, I know he had to think like a man shit, right? That was Steve Harvey.